For some reason, at this point in the season, the Steelers are still playing Ben Roethlisberger at quarterback. If you've watched any bit of Steelers football, or any bit of Steelers football in the past, probably 2 seasons now, you would know that Ben Roethlisberger is not good enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, and nowhere near at the level of which the Steelers expect, which is a championship. We all know the Steelers is a historic franchise. We know Ben Roethlisberger is a good quarterback. He's been good for pretty much his whole career up till this point, up till the past 2 seasons. But he's done. They're just holding on to nothing at this point. They are 5-5-1 with a tie against Detroit Lions. A lot of their wins they've snuck in by teams that they should win more against. They beat the Seahawks by 3 in overtime against Geno Smith. You tie the Lions. You only beat the Broncos by 8. Their best win of the season is against the Steelers. They lost by 2 possessions to the Raiders. That's a bad loss. Both games against the Bengals, they've been nowhere close. You beat the Bears by 2 against a rookie quarterback on a Monday night game. Now, I know they only ended up winning by 2, but the game was not as close as it seems. But tying the Lions is terrible. They somehow competed with the Chargers, and that was a really good game. They got killed last week by the Bengals, and this week they play the Ravens, who are 8-3, and probably just going to run the ball all over them, and their offense is not going to be able to score. So, why are you playing Ben Roethlisberger and not the man on the screen for the past minute? Dwayne Haskins, give him a chance. You got to know what you have. You know what you have in Mason Rudolph. He's a backup. He'll always be a backup, and he'll probably always be the Steelers' backup. That's just his career. He's not good enough to be a starter. Haskins, however, was the 15th overall pick for a reason. He's shown flashes of talent in his time at Washington, and definitely in his time at Ohio State. He just hasn't had the maturity to do it. Reminds me a lot of Jameis Winston in a way. Similar play style, throw first, can run if he has to, not a run first guy by no means. Loves to throw the ball downfield, and is going to throw interceptions, but is going to throw touchdowns. So you get a great coach like Mike Tomlin, like the Steelers have. Why not try him? He's been learning this system for the 11 games so far. He's been being taught by Roethlisberger, I'm sure, and being taught by Tomlin to get better. And you got their upcoming schedule after this week against the Ravens. Let's say they lose this, as we all expect. What are you playing for? You're 5-6-1. You're pretty much not a contender at that point. You've got the Vikings on a Thursday night game. You've got the Titans, you've got the Chiefs, you've got the Browns, and you've got the Ravens. Now, the Ravens, or the Vikings and the Titans haven't been playing well, and the Vikings are under 500. But the Chiefs, Browns, Ravens, final 3 weeks of the season, and you tell me they got to win all of them if they want a chance at the playoffs? That's just not going to happen. Going to Arrowhead and going to Baltimore, the home game against the Browns, but going to those 2 places, you're not expecting to win much. We saw how bad Ben was in the playoff game against the Browns. There's really no point in running him out there and expecting a better result. Give the ball to Haskins. Let's see what he got, and then see what you do in the offseason. Because what are they going to do in the offseason? If you stick with Ben, then you have no idea. You got to try to draft a quarterback, and you'll have a quarterback competition between Rudolph, Haskins, and whatever rookie you bought. And who knows if Roethlisberger will even be back to try to compete for a job, because he's probably going to try. It's whether or not they're going to let him or not, because they shouldn't. He's been terrible. He never really was a super athletic guy, but he used his ability. He moved around the pocket well enough to make things happen, and he can't do that anymore. And the division's just getting better where you can't get away with Ben Roethlisberger. The Bengals aren't free wins like they used to be. Burrow's been great. They're on the edge of making the playoffs this year. Cleveland's not a free win like they used to be. They knocked you out of the playoffs last year. So, what are you trying to do? Like, what is the Steelers' game plan here with their quarterbacks? They went out and got Haskins, which was a great move. It looked great. He's going to learn for a little bit, and then he'll take over once it's proved that Roethlisberger can't play, which he's pretty much proved he can't play. They have an elite defense, and that's the reason they've won 5 games this season. You had Mason Rudolph go out and play against the Lions, and he only put up 16 points. So clearly he's not the long-term answer. This draft isn't that good for quarterbacks, so what you got to do is you got to play Haskins, see what he does. If he plays great, he's your guy. You get him for another year. If he sucks next year after you made him the starter, then you go get your big-time guy in the draft, because that'll be a better quarterback class. If Haskins is terrible these final couple games of the season, these final 5 games, if you let him take over after the Ravens game this weekend, then you realize, okay, Haskins isn't the guy. Roethlisberger's really not the guy. Rudolph clearly isn't the guy. Let's go out and get someone. There's rumors to Aaron Rodgers being available. There's rumors to Russell Wilson being available. We all know Deshaun Watson's available for the right price, with pending issues there. But you got to do something like that, because you're going to end up stuck in the same spot. They have such a good defense, they're pretty much wasting at this point by not having quarterback. And it looks like they're gonna waste their receivers' careers and their running backs' career, Najee Harris, who's been good so far, if they don't get someone to throw the ball to these guys. And they've worked on the O line a little bit. It's a little bit better, but how good's your O line gonna be when your quarterback's an immovable object that Ben Roethlisberger is? They've seen signs, like we've seen them compete with some good teams, like the Chargers. We saw them beat the Bills, but a tie at home to the Lions is just inexcusable with your backup quarterback. It clearly shows that he's not a good enough quarterback for you. But you have Haskins on your roster, put him in, give yourself a chance. Assuming they lose this game, which I'm expecting, and if they win, good job, Ben Roethlisberger. Go ahead. You got you got the Vikings, then the Titans to try to get yourself back in the playoff hunt. But if you lose, you're pretty much out of the playoffs. You're at 5-6-1, and at that point, what are you playing? Like, the tie is really gonna screw you over because you can't get to 10 wins at that point. So you put in Haskins, you let him see what he's got, you let him throw the ball around, you let him run when he wants to run, you call what you want to call, you see what he's got, and then you go from there. But if you do, what's the point of the move of bringing in Haskins if you're not going to try him out? Like, there's really no point of running Ben Roethlisberger out there at this point, especially if you lose. I don't see the point now because, like I said, you got Ravens, Vikings, Steelers, Titans, Chiefs, Browns, Ravens. Like, that's a tough schedule. And they really can't lose 2 more games if they want to make the playoffs. I don't think they can lose 1 more, but these final games you got to go 4-2 here. 4-2, maybe even 5-1 if you want to sneak into the playoffs and get a wild card spot. So if you go 3-3, which is tough with this schedule, you're not getting in anywhere. You're 500. If you go 4-2, you're not guaranteed, and if you go 5-1, it's which. Does anyone think they're going 5-1 with this schedule? You think they can beat the Ravens twice, along with the Chiefs in there? Like, some of these other games are winnable, but come on, they're not that good anymore. Roethlisberger's not good enough to do it, so give it to Haskins. Like, just put it in for our entertainment to watch the game. Some of these plays Roethlisberger's been making this year are just downright terrible. Like, he just has proven over the past 2 years now that he can't be an NFL starting quarterback. But they keep running him out there. And I know he's been a long time in the organization, but he's not good enough to play the position. And people say maybe, Haskins isn't either. But you got to give him a chance, right? They went out and got him. He's a young kid. He was a top pick for a reason. We saw what he did at Ohio State. Let's see what he does in the NFL. He did pretty good in Washington. I really think he could have stayed the starter, and he's probably better than Taylor Heinicke at the moment if it wasn't for his off-the-field issues. So, give him a chance. Let's see what he's got. Unless there's something going on in the Steelers locker room we don't know about, let's see what Haskins can do. Give Dwayne Haskins a shot. Roethlisberger is terrible.